Hey everyone, welcome to Pocket Sized Play. We're a tabletop RPG podcast about short, compelling, actual play. My name is Tim, and in just a moment I'll be joined with my co-hosts, Tor and Timothy. Today we played Golden Sky Stories. It's a Japanese RPG about these shape-shifting animal children called henge. They try to help people, and this game could best be described as heartwarming. So let's see how it went. Every scene is broken up where there's a little intermission in between, and that's where we distribute points and stuff like that. So think of it like there's a little break between every time, and you get to, restock up on points. The points that you're going to be dealing with the most are called wonder and feelings. So wonder is the sum of connections that you have with others, whereas feelings is the sum of connections that people have with you. The last one worth mentioning is dreams. You can award a dream to someone else when someone did something that you thought was cute or really appropriate for the character. Or maybe they did something that helped someone out a lot.
So I'm playing Murasaki. She is a fox in her true form, a beautiful white and gray fox. She's also likewise a beautiful princess type girl. She has beautiful dark hair and green eyes, and she wears very traditional clothing, like a high neck blouse and a buttoned bodice. She definitely carries the air of, I'm beautiful and I know I'm beautiful, and everyone should pay attention to that when I am around.
So my name is Tara. My true form is a tanuki or a raccoon dog. I wear big round glasses. I'm short, slightly chubby and quite clumsy. I have a very happy, a bit vague and awkward behavior.
It is on the verge of nighttime. So the fields around you, they had been cast in a golden glow up until just a moment ago when the sun finally sunk. You're on the edge of town, but there's a pretty major road along the town near you where people would normally be passing by, except it's just late enough that most people would have gone home by now.
I am licking myself, and every now and then I kind of look over at Taro to see if Taro is, taking notice of how beautiful I'm making myself.
I'm going to give a dream to Murasaki for that.
Yeah. I am balancing and wandering on a little stone fence, feeling pretty confident, and every now and then I'm looking over at Murasaki to check if she's noticing how brave and proudly I'm traversing these obstacles.
Taro, do a trick. Do a trick for me.
I try to do a backflip off the fence.
You will need an animal of 3. Do you want to spend the feelings to do that?
That's a lot of feelings to spend because I don't have a lot of animal. I'll do a nice little faceplant in the mud.
I mostly just roll my eyes and just kind of stand up and go, "Oh, Taro, you're always trying to do that comedy stuff." And I go over to a nearby tree and just stretch out long ways on it and start scratching my front claws on it.
Taro, take a dream for that clumsiness.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit of time has passed because whenever you take a moment to look up, that full moon, very bright full moon, is now risen above. And you pick up the sound of someone walking along the road, and you hear them call out hesitantly, "Who's there?"
I pull myself off the mud and try to jump behind the fence and hide.
You see the shadowy form emerge, and in the moonlight, you do see it's a child, a boy, probably 8 or 9 years old.
I run towards Taro, kind of past him, and get to the stone wall and kind of look up over it with my beautiful fox face at the boy. Let's keep the tail and the ears, and I'll take 2 points off of each.
So you jump to that stone wall where Taro is, and you suddenly transform, or at least part of your body, and
I say, "Hello, little boy."
As you do that, you notice that I'm still hanging off the top of the fence with my back end hanging over and just clawing and scratching a bit.
So it sounds like there was an impression being made. First off, the boy sees this fox appear from behind a wall and turn into a girl, but with fox-like qualities, and his eyes turn big, and he stutters for just a moment when you address him, Murasaki. He's, hello? And he tries to look a little more formal. He's still wearing a school uniform, kind of unbuttoned because he got out of school hours ago, but struggles to sort of put himself together a bit.
It's probably time for me to tip over the fence and land on the other side next to Murasaki. And then I'm just looking through some cracks in the fence, staying still in my animal form.
So has he got a little tie on?
He's not wearing a tie. He might have been for school. And he's carrying a backpack, but it's empty. You can tell it's kind of sagging and is partially unzipped.
What's your name, little boy, and where's your tie?
I'm Yuki, and Mother irons my ties at night so that I look good for the next day, because she says impressions are everything, and how you present yourself, and he looks you up and down, looks over and sees a swish of your tail. How you present yourself, she says, is very important. And for Yuki, you can list him with your connections, Murasaki. So you get to choose what type of connection you want to have with him. He is going to choose, because of your alluring, I'm going to choose affection.
I'll spend 4 points to turn into a human with just a tail, because I'm going to present myself well. Just as Yuki finishes this talk about how you present yourself, I bounce up from behind the fence, and I've hidden my tail. The front of my jacket is full of mud from face planting earlier, and I start brushing it off.
He leaps just a little bit back. Behind him, there is a tree, and one of the branches has caught on that empty backpack as he leaps back. So it's hanging there, and he's hanging from it, and his arms and legs are flailing wildly. He's just pretty scared and surprised by these 1 and then 2 people appearing behind the wall, wondering how many else there are.
Okay. I stretch a hand out just as he starts to pull back in shock and say, "Oh, hey, don't be afraid, I'm Taro." And then I jump over the wall, just 2 hands on it, try to fling my 2 feet over to come over and calm him down. Although, of course, approaching like that might scare him even more if it wasn't for the fact that I just tripped and fell straight in the mud again.
So because you've gained dreams for being clumsy already, everyone who saw your clumsiness gets 2 points of dreams. So Murasaki, note that, and I'll note that for myself. I'm going to say that he respects you, actually, because he looks you up and down with a slight smile and starts giggling to himself, as if he's completely aware that you made a fool of yourself for his benefit. So, Murasaki, you saw Taro do his trademark clumsiness to put someone at ease, and Yuki is sort of distracted now from that regal bearing that you were presenting earlier.
Well, I say to Yuki, your mother is right. It is always good to make a good first impression. I'm reaching over with one of my hands and kind of brushing the mud off of the front of Taro. Yuki, present your tie.
I don't have it. In fact, I forgot something else. I left my textbooks at school today. I didn't tell Mother that I I had forgotten this. So I was just going to go to school, except it's dark and probably a little scary for little kids. Scary for little kids.
I'll rush over towards Yuki and go, "Oh, Yuki!" And I'm about to give him a hug, but then I realize I'm still a bit muddy and I'm just standing next to him. And then I turn and look at Murasaki. Yeah, we're brave.
One of my fox ears just kind of twitches like a little tick. And I look back at Yuki and say, "Is your tie at school too? Sounds like you need some help." And then I look over to Taro and say, "Yes, of course, Taro. We're brave."
I'm still looking down, brushing my clothes up, and then at one point I stop, and you see a smile on my face, and then I put an arm around Yuki and pat him on the back. There. And then I look at you again, huh?
I think I should give Taro a dream for that.
Let's close off that scene with going to the school.
Yeah.
So things to do between scenes. Your wonder and your feelings carry over, so you can add the new points that you would have from your connections. Dreams, you can increase connections with them. Well, cool. Let's set up that next scene. It's the moonlit courtyard of the school. Of course, the gates wouldn't be locked. They're just open, like always. And when you walk through that courtyard, there's no sign of anyone else here. It's completely quiet. There's just crickets chirping. Yuki is a bit halting as he takes some steps forward to follow, stops, and waits for you both to sort of take the lead. Are you both still in the same form as before?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. So over the time we're walking with Yuki, suddenly my ears just pop out. Oh, oops, I wrote down one. Just he looks away and then looks back again, and then they're there.
Cool. He's continuing the conversation from earlier. I'm sure I'll learn to be brave. I just don't know what year they teach it. I'm really bad at math right now, and that's actually one of the books that I left. And so I don't even know if I have time to work on bravery right now.
Well, let me help you here, Yuki. And I want to use my Foxfire power here to get some light so it's not so spooky and scary.
Yeah, so that's 6 of your wonder that you spend to use that. He follows that ball of light like it's some guiding beacon. Everything around has a warm, familiar glow now. Taro, what are you up to?
Staring into the fire.
As well you should. You should get a dream for that.
So as you all step through the front door, actually cracked a bit open, the sound that you now hear is the squeaking of the floorboards from underneath you. Yuki just points wordlessly at a room kind of up to the right a bit and looks to you, Taro, and nods, pointing at that room.
I take a brave step forward, then I stop, and then I look to Murasaki.
Just a slight nod that I approve.
I'm putting my foot slowly down and slowly lifting the next one and then going quicker and quicker, and then I'm at a normal walking pace towards the room.
The 20 or so desks that are in there, there's only one desk that has a pile of 3 books on it and a slightly rolled black tie on top of them.
I just walk towards the book quite confidently, stopping, looking around. I'm being a bit affected by Yuki's concerns. Then I walk over to the books and pick them up, and the tie and everything.
He takes steps behind you, taking your lead, and then you hear him say quietly, more to himself, "I'm big, I can do this." And he leaps forward and grabs that off the desk, those 3 books and that tie, and you see that desk that he grabbed is about to tip over and fall and make a really loud noise.
I want to dive to stop the desk from falling. I just go...
So that'd be an animal of 2 to kind of be agile enough to do that.
I don't know. Is it worth spending one whole feeling to not make a noise?
The desk, you fool! The desk!
I dive in front of the desk, but then I see it tipping toward me and I hear your voice coming and I'm feeling really, really self-conscious and and then I roll away from the desk again to not be hit by it.
I want to give a dream to Taro for that.
Clearly it was a prophetic statement calling him a fool.
You bolt out of the way as that desk falls, and it falls onto the desk behind it. And Yuki jumps straight up in the air, and as one desk starts to hit the other, he bolts out of the room through that door. There's a moment, Murasaki, where you think that the wind of him passing by is going to extinguish your foxfire, dies, and then it comes back up. And you hear the squeaking and the pitter-patter of him running down the hallway.
Come quickly, Taro, come quickly. And I bolt down the hall.
Just a sec!
Yuki is making his way down the hall, and Murasaki you're chasing after. Near the entrance along the side is a series of little shelves, like little cubbies where you would put shoes and maybe lunches that you wouldn't bring into the classroom. And there's a little gust of an aroma that comes out from a lunch that was left earlier that day. Murasaki, it's probably a little oily because it's been sitting all day, but it still smells crisp and delicious. It's a brown paper bag. You can smell that fried tofu.
Oh, I dead stop in my tracks. Have completely forgotten about Yuki.
So you've reverted all the way back into a fox at this point.
Have I? Okay. The sack's on the floor. It fell out of my hands, and now my snout is just inside the sack now, and I'm just kind of going through it.
Taro, as you're able to make your way out of the room where the desks have finally stopped clattering, and you see the often regal princess like Murasaki in full fox form digging into a brown paper bag, probably ripping it to shreds, looking for food. What do you do, Taro?
I'll come up right behind Murasaki and fold my arms. Murasaki?
I really like the turnaround in the dynamic there. I want to give a dream to Taro for that.
I'm going to give a dream to Murasaki too.
You hear crying coming from out in the courtyard area by the gate. It's a little bit faint, and we'll close the scene. So, total up that new wonder and feelings. If you have 5 dreams, you can use that to increase a connection.
Yeah, I'll strengthen my bond with Yuki.
Okay, Yuki was affectionate toward Murasaki. Yuki respects Taro. I think those are the same. Have any of the types of connections changed for you guys?
Nah, it's fine.
Nah, and I think it's good still with the way I have with Yuki.
So, you were both near the entrance where those little cubbies were.
I would like to appear with a tail.
I am feeling very... Shame is probably too harsh of a word, and so I want to transform into full human form.
So +2 because it's at
6.
night, and then +4 to be full human.
And I'm just going to take that all off of feelings.
If someone can beat an animal of 4, they can figure out what the crying is or where it is.
I can do that. I mean, I already have an animal of 3, so I'll spend 1 point of feelings, and I'll have an animal of 4.
Taro, maybe you thought it was Yuki crying, but Murasaki, you can tell that it's definitely not a human crying. It sounds like an animal, and it's near a little cluster of bushes by a bench, pretty close to the entrance of the main gate.
I'm going to go check out what this crying is.
Taro, what are you up to?
Tagging along.
So as you get closer to that bush behind the benches, the bush moves. It's a pretty big bush. I mean, there could be a big monster in there. Taro, you notice, since you were following and watching, you see Yuki at the entrance of the gate poke his head around to look. And as Murasaki, you get close enough, in a split second, there's this burst of something taupe-colored that darts out of there and leaps up straight in the air. Everyone has to deal with a surprise of 8, which means if you don't meet that, there's a little table of how you have to be surprised.
The fear is swelling up in me, and I panic and run back to Yuki.
Are you responding with that animal kind of running away?
No, I was thinking child because I mean the human form.
That would be missing that by 5 still, since your child is 3. So because that's how Yuki would respond to, you realize he's behind you and run toward him. He realizes that you're there, and because he respects you and looks up to you, runs towards you, and you hit each other and knock your heads and both fall down, fainted on the ground.
I'm going to use animal, and I'm going to spend 3 feelings to make that a 6. And I'll fail by 2, and then I'll just cry out, startled.
What has leapt out of it is a puppy. It's a Shibu puppy. So it's very round with a pointed snout with a black nose on the end. Comically big ears. It lands at your feet and sniffs at you and curiously goes to nuzzle up against you because you're fully human here.
Oh, how cute! And I reach down to pick it up. What is your name, little puppy? And I love this puppy. I think I've fallen in love with this puppy.
When you say that, it responds with a yup. And at that, it's enough to rouse Taro and Yuki.
I'm still holding around Yuki, and we're standing up together, just still holding around each other. I'll whisper to Yuki, I'll tell you a secret. I was actually terrified all the time. I was just pretending to be brave.
He looks at you and he looks at the puppy and he says, if you feel safe with someone, you just pretend to be brave, and they'll be brave too?
It worked.
Yuki runs over to Murasaki, where the puppy is, and he's smiling and laughing at that. I think I could be really brave for this puppy. I could pretend to be brave so that he would be brave too.
Well, Yuki, I think this puppy might need a home. I'll trade you this puppy for your tie.
He looks down and the books were scattered on the ground from when he fell in his head, and the tie has a big rip down it and doesn't look like it could quite be patched up again.
How unfortunate. Taro, how can we make the tie new again?
I'm completely stumped. I'm just standing there looking at the tie and scratching my head and pushing my glasses up.
Oh, I have an idea.
And he seems reassured that you seem to know what you're doing. I think I know what you're thinking. He doesn't know, though, but he feels good about that, and the puppy's on the ground at this point and curiously sniffs Yuki. The puppy dances around him in a couple circles and will follow you 3 out. Should we close the scene up here?
Yeah, Sounds good.
All right. Well, next episode, we'll play some more Golden Sky stories and have more of an opportunity to share all of our thoughts about the warm feelings and mechanics that we saw in this game. So thanks so much to everyone. I really liked the opportunity to try out a game that was diceless and focused on some pretty small stories. So we'll see how that continues to turn out. This was the Pocket Sized Play podcast. You can hit us up at twitter.com/pocket-sized-play or check out the Gauntlet gaming community at gauntlet-rpg.com. Thanks, everyone.